What's up?
Hey, I'm so excited.
Thanks for coming. This is sick. So, for people who don't know, what do you do? What's your job, I guess?
Yeah.
Not a easy answer.
Yeah, no, I can start off by saying I never thought I'd ever be in fashion, never cared about fashion in the way that I see a lot of people who are in this industry are. I kind of fell into it just because I was supposed to do finance. I come from
Really?
Yeah, my dad and mom both worked in finance their whole lives. The one thing I can say is I kind of grew up with an understanding that anything creative just is kind of bullshit and it's not a realistic life career path. Yeah. And I think that comes from my dad's side, but also my mom's side. She is obviously Japanese, grew up in a very traditional Japanese household in Chiba. And
Chiba.
Yeah, that was never encouraged for me. But as long as I can remember, since I was really, really young, the only thing I really cared about was drawing, painting, making things, just doing things like that. It really fueled this fire inside of me. But as I got older, and I feel like I was surrounded by a lot of people who weren't necessarily encouraging of the creative world, nor were they in it, I kind of conformed in many ways. But I always knew I was so unhappy. I finished my degree at NYU with finance. I was actually set up to
I didn't know you did finance.
Yeah. I was an econ major.
Oh, wow.
And I was about to start at a wealth management firm, but then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, obviously everything went crazy. I lost my job opportunity and I was stuck in LA. And I remember just starting to draw again, to paint again. And I just had all these ideas and I kind of just started making clothing. And that's where it started. I remember first selling masks during COVID. That was
Oh
the
my
first
God,
product.
I remember that.
That was
Yeah.
the first product I came out with.
I forgot about that.
And people really liked it. And then I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try to do a shirt or two. And then, yeah, I just noticed people really, really enjoyed the graphics and everything. And actually that year, really early on, Kourtney Kardashian's stylist reached out to me and they're like, we really like some of your items. Can you send some over? And
I
then
remember that moment.
Yeah. And then Kourtney wore my pants at Disneyland when she had announced her relationship with Travis, which was insane. Yeah. She was trying to change her aesthetic to a more goth style.
A gothy,
goth punk style.
The pink ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That's awesome.
And so, yeah, that's kind of what jump-started everything. And ever since, I haven't really looked back at finance or anything. And I'm so grateful for that. And it really shows me that everything happens for a reason, you know?
Yeah. So what do you consider yourself a brand owner? What's your...
I consider myself more of an artist than a fashion designer because I don't follow trends. I don't know who the top 10 fashion icons are. I really don't care. And I honestly don't like a lot of parts of the fashion industry in the sense where it's very pretentious, obnoxious, exclusive. Yeah. People are so arrogant in this field and I have never really been able to relate to that. And so I approach fashion in more of an artist type of way.
Okay.
Where I see it as a form of expression, creativity, and I don't really care about coming out with stuff that I know will sell. It's more based around what I want to do and what I feel speaks to who I am. And so, yeah, that's kind of just how I've been navigating the world of fashion.
So is your main thing right now just the Laughing Geisha stuff? Or Okay.
Yeah, that's my main stuff. I absolutely love it. And I kind of view my brand as my form of therapy in many ways. And
that's cool.
And my form of coming to self and figuring out who I am, because I've always struggled with disassociation and not really being able to figure out, connect me to myself and who I am and self-perception. And what I've noticed is through my brand, I'll start releasing stuff. And I remember hearing a response from people being like, whoa, you're really dark, or I never knew this side of you. And I wasn't even aware of it. Because with art, it's just kind of a subconscious release. Yeah. And I've actually found out a lot about myself through what other people see in my art, which has been so cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like people just like have certain perceptions of you, and then it's like when the insides of you come out, like that's when people realize. Like,
yeah, and I think I was embarrassed almost to like show people who I really was, and it was almost as though my brand served as a vehicle in order for me to like get to the point where I was comfortable being my complete self, because I was never like this before. Like now I don't give a shit. Like
that's awesome. Though.
Yeah.
That's like where you want to be.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I used to care a lot about what people think, and I definitely still do, but in a different way. Like I don't, like I'll dress how I want, I'll act how I want, I'll post what I want, and not be afraid of what people are going to say about me. Yeah, which is really cool.
that's how I've kind of felt like with doing the cooking stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, I should get a tripod, and like I was on TikTok and everything was like for you. Yeah. So it was like, I have a note in my phone. It was like, get a tripod, do for you, just like serving the food, and that's it. And then I like actually did it. And I was like so scared because I was like, people are gonna watch me, like,
yeah, or people gonna think I'm weird or whatever.
But then like people actually liked it,
Yeah.
and I was like, that wasn't like, if people hated it, I like to say that I like would have kept going, but like just like getting like just like kind of showing yourself like in the kitchen, like my person, like there's little bits that I put in that are like my personality, and like people, like I totally feel that. Like I mean, you're way more of an artist, but
no,
like,
I don't think that's true.
No, but you're more like an actual artist. Like I'm an artist in like media and like visual, but like I'm not like drawing and like showing my emotions through like my videos, you know? So, but I relate to like at least the posting of it all, and like
you just have to take risks, because there's so many times where I've taken risks and it's failed too, and it sucks, but everything happens for a reason. It leads to something else.
Yeah, I think it's also crazy that COVID kind of led you to this, because that's exactly what happened to me too.
COVID changed so many lives.
Yeah.
It was obviously like such a tragic and terrible thing that happened, but I really do believe like that was like, it was almost as though that period of time was free time, where either there was a group of people who basically like didn't do shit with their lives, not gonna lie, and they didn't really reap the benefits, but there was the other group of people who were like, okay, I have like this amount of time where I'm not doing shit. I could sit around, but I kind of want to follow what I've always wanted to. And at least for me, like the amount of work I got done in that span of time completely has changed my life.
Yeah, and you
Like,
you
taking
had time to
advantage of
be
it.
creative.
Yeah.
And I think that's so huge nowadays, because like once you're in a job,
Yeah,
like,
if you can't really.
yeah, and we were like, I feel like I always talk about this, how like creative is like so interesting, because like you have to, like we grew up with like people who were like creative for their lives, you know, like in their industries, and I think it's so hard to get into creative when
1,000,000%. I know you're gonna say
like
it's so hard.
like
it's so daunting.
Like imagine if you had to pay like rent and pay like live like paycheck to paycheck, and it's like then you have to do creative stuff. Like you have to kind of have like this like cushion.
No, completely. And I think even more than the financial aspect and like I think the hardest part about switching up is people judge, people make assumptions, people won't believe in you until they see that you've made it, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And at least for me, I remember the hardest obstacle I had to get through when I kind of shifted was people didn't know me for art whatsoever growing up until I was 22. When I would tell people that I wanted to start a clothing brand, a lot of people were like, oh, okay, like, what are you talking about? Like, bro, like, you've never done this before. And pushing through all of those voices was probably the hardest thing ever, and feeling like people just thought I was a joke. Yeah. And having to work so hard to like have people not view me in that way. I think that's very hard, and it's really sad to me, because I think a lot of people are creative, but they're not willing to like risk it all. You have to kind of risk everything, even your identity, like, which is crazy. Yeah. And it's very admirable when I see other people do it later in their lives, because a lot of people die with their music never being played. I don't know if you've heard that saying, but like...
Yeah, I feel like you should do it sooner rather than later, especially in our age. Like,
exactly.
So I respect you for like going for it, because I feel like...
You as well.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I'm kind of like lucky because I also have a job that like also lets me be creative, but I feel like you kind of just came out of nothing and just made it something, you know.
Thank
So I respect
you.
that. But I'm kind of segueing into like judgment and all that. And you mentioned earlier like the fashion industry. Like what's something that you're pushing the envelope for in fashion?
I think there are many things. Being half Japanese is very dear to me, and I've always, just growing up, I've always loved the Japanese art aesthetic, characters, and like, I don't know, that's, as long as I can remember, that's always been my favorite visual aesthetic, like the colorways, like the samurais, the geishas, like, I don't know, something about it just really speaks to me. And so definitely pushing that, because for me, I'm in this specific niche of like streetwear, and holy shit, I know you know this, but like the amount of times before I started, there would just be a white dude behind this brand, like writing like Japanese kanji, and
Oh
like,
my God,
or like making kois, and or just like using all that stuff without a deep knowledge or understanding of where it comes from, what it means, and kind of just throwing it on there and slapping it on there and making so much money from it. And in my opinion, they always did it terribly, like, because I feel like with anime culture too, like, I don't know, it's become mainstream, but people aren't careful with the craft and like the way in which they present it, and it looks like so shitty to me.
They like just throw it on there because it's like cool.
Yeah, they think it's cool, and that's always made me really mad. Yeah, and so like, it's kind of, my brand also is to pay homage to like the true Japanese art, craft, and fashion that I've always seen, like growing up and going during the summers to Japan, like in Harajuku, like seeing the way they actually dress is so cool. And so that's like an important, you know, thing I want to highlight for my brand, is I really love my Japanese culture, and I have so much respect for it. And I want to be able to share that with the world in a respectful way.
Right.
Because also, I'm only half, and I wouldn't say I'm entirely like well versed in Japanese culture. Like, you're a lot more, you know, in it. So in that sense too, I want to be respectful, you know. But what's been so sick is I've been selling at flea markets, and I've been having a lot of Japanese people who come in, and they really like it, and that means so much to me.
So much.
You know, because I always was really nervous about being taken seriously by Japanese people too, because they're really intense.
Totally.
Yeah, so that's been really cool too, that like they don't see me as this like whitewashed joke.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's like a great moment for you.
Yeah, but so that's the main thing. But also just having the fashion world be more open, and not being so like intense and clean cut and like specific with things, because I think that prevents people from really exploring their love for fashion and creativity, and it's still a form of art expression. And so I think it should be viewed more in that light, rather than being like, oh, New York Fashion Week, like, you're not invited.
Paris,
what the hell is this? What the hell is that? Like, no, you should be able to wear whatever you want, do whatever you want. Like, no one cares at the end of the day. So yeah, that's what I had to say.
So it's like a mix of like, kind of like me, where it's like Asian representation, more like specifically Japanese, but like the right way, and then just kind of the exclusivity and the whole. Yeah,
and just sense. Like, also just the aspect of encouraging and inspiring other people just to go out and do what they love. Like, even at the flea the other day, this younger Korean girl came up to me. She was like, hi, I just want to let you know, like, number one, I really love your brand, and number two, like, I look up to you because you're an Asian woman, and you kind of just started this, and I've always wanted to make a bathing suit company based off like Korean designs, and like, it's really inspiring, and I kind of want to start something now, and like, and that means so much, you know, because
the fact that you're able to like have that effect on someone.
Yeah, it's meant so much to me. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I live for moments like that.
Yeah, it's like, so inspiring. And you don't know how many people you're even going to like encourage or inspire to start their own thing as a Japanese male.
True,
you know, and speaking about this stuff. Because I think unless there's someone already out there, it's hard to believe that it can happen. You know?
Yeah, that's kind of like a huge reason why I started the show. Is like, obviously I'm gonna have, you know, diversity on my show, but like, I'm gonna have a lot of white people on my show, like talking about jobs, and like, just the fact that I'm like talking to like a white like girl on my show, like it, like even just that visual.
Yeah.
Like, you should have you been like taking like Japanese, like, classes at all, or like
No.
working on like writing and stuff? I can teach you, but
I know you need to.
well, you should like speak it, or you should try to
I know.
speak it.
でもあんまり
難しい？
日本人の友達がないから数だけ。
ここにいるけど。
Yeah. Or I could watch anime more, or like something like that.
The animes, yeah. Can I ask you like what you do every day?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm sure it's like all over the place.
Insane, yeah. Well, I just started a part-time job as a hostess.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Cool.
At this restaurant in Santa Monica. But besides that, like on a normal day when I don't have that job, I'll wake up in the morning, I have my coffee, I take my Adderall because I have severe ADD. I have two dogs, so I'll bring them to the dog park.
Okay.
While I'm at the dog park, I'll do emails, do like, stuff for like order fulfillments if I have any events coming up. And then I go home, and that's when I just go, like if it's a day of creating, I have a studio where I work from, so I'll do like sewing, patchwork, screen printing, making new screens, fulfilling orders, and that kind of just goes for a long time until the end of the day. I'm honestly addicted to my work.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome, but it's also very debilitating because I've ruined a lot of relationships through it because I'm so addicted to art and my craft that I tend to isolate a lot and just work, and time goes by so quickly.
Yeah.
And it's like a weird addiction because I love it. It feels so good to do, but it's almost like I live in my own world the majority of my life nowadays.
Yeah.
And I don't really interact socially. I don't really go out at all.
Oh really?
Yeah. I and it's so funny because I remember, like, I feel like you knew me when I was really social. Like, I don't really spend time with people. I'm so obsessed with what I'm doing that's what I spend a lot of my time doing. But yeah, even dating is like really difficult because I feel like I don't know, I'm not a normal person. I'm just wired really differently, and it took a long time to figure that out. But I
feel like that's fine.
Yeah. I feel like an alien a lot of the times with stuff.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you should get out of that mindset of like, oh, I'm not a normal person.
That's the thing, yeah, is I'm very self-deprecating, and I feel like if I was to just accept that, things would be a lot easier. But sometimes I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That sounds like a...
But it's fun.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming out of your addiction to be here for a sec and just like socialize and talk. It's always good to like catch up too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so nice to see you.